Okay, so we are going to go back to chapter 10, and we're going to talk about the equation of a circle. I haven't taught this in a couple of years because it wasn't one of our past objectives, but we have new standards this year, and it is one of those past objectives. You'll get it again, probably in more depth when you take Algebra 2, but it's relatively easy, I think, for what we're going to do today. Again, though, it is following a formula, okay? Now, before we do it, I want to do two problems. I'm going to give you a point. I'm going to give you the point -2, 1, and the point 5, -3. Okay? And we're going to find the distance, and we're going to find the midpoint. And you are going to have to do that a little bit today. Not on all the problems, but on some. So let's review that. Okay? Remember your distance formula is x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. Okay, so the difference in the x's squared plus the difference in the y squared, and then you take the square root of that sum. All right. Now the order that you subtract doesn't matter, just be consistent. Okay, so we're going to do -2 minus 5 quantity squared plus, subtract my y's, 1 minus, since it's negative, becomes plus, minus a -3 squared. So 1 plus 3 squared. And so then we simplify it. And that gives me -7 squared plus 4 squared, which is 49, plus 16, which is what? 65? Okay, so radical 65. Alright, so that is distance. Midpoint. Okay, distance is a length. Midpoint is a location. Okay, if you remember, to find midpoint, you add your x's together, and you divide by 2, and you add your y's together, and you divide by 2. Like the average of the endpoints. So, using that same point, if I added my x's together, -2 plus 5, and divided by 2, and I add my y's together, 1 plus a -3 divided by 2. -2 plus 5 is 3. Divided by 2, which is 1.5. And 1 plus a -3 is a -2 divided by 2, which is a -1. So radical 65, which is about 8 point something, right? Almost 8, a little over 8, is the length of it, okay? And the midpoint, the point in the middle of those 2 points is 1.5, -1. Okay, that's the ordered pair for the midpoint. And you will be using some of this in your lesson today. All right. So like I said, we're talking about equations of circles. And this is the standard equation for a circle, okay? HK represents the center of the circle, and R represents the radius. So it's x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. Okay, that is the standard an equation for a circle. If you remember back from Algebra 1, even earlier this year, this is one of the equations of the line. That's the slope-intercept form, right? Where n represents the what? Slope, and b represents the y-intercept. This is the standard equation of a line. Anytime you have an x plus a y equal to a constant, that represents a line. Well, if you have a situation that looks like this, that represents a circle. When you get to Algebra 2, you're going to talk about the equation for a parabola, and a hyperbola, and an ellipse, okay, and a circle. Okay, so those 4 things you're going to get. We're just going to touch on the circle today. All right. So a couple of questions here. It says write an equation for each circle. Right here. Right. I should have F's there, right? Write an equation for each circle. Okay, it gives me the center, which is -2, 4, and it gives me the diameter. Okay, this center is my HK. My diameter is 6, so what does that make my radius? 3. And so then all I have to do is take this information and plug it into this formula. Okay, so it's x minus my h. Now my h is negative, so it changes signs and becomes positive. So x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus my k is 4 quantity squared equals my radius squared, which is what? 9. and that is the equation for my circle. X minus h, which is a negative 2, so this becomes plus 2, quantity squared, plus y minus k, which is 4, squared, equals the radius squared, which is 9. Alright, here's another one. This one has the center at the origin, and the radius is 7. Yes? You're just writing the equation for the circle. Okay? Like you remember in Algebra 1, it said to put the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay? Or put it in slope-intercept form so that you can identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay. If you get the equation in this form, I can identify the center and I can identify the radius. And we're going to work backwards here in just a second. So we're going to kind of look at it from all vantage points. All right. So this one has the center at the origin, and it has a radius of 7. So where's the origin? At 0, 0, right? Okay. So this would be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals, what, 7 squared? 49. Now, I can simplify this because x minus 0 is x, so it would be x squared plus y squared equals 49. So if we're getting a math problem, you ended up with an equation like this, you know it's going to represent a circle. Okay? All right, here's another one. This one has a center at 0, 4 and a radius of radical 5. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and write my equation down again. Having gone up. Okay. So what would this look like? X minus h would be what? Just x, right? So that would be x squared plus y minus 4 quantity squared equals, what's my radius squared? 5. When you square a radical, it goes away, right? So x squared plus y minus 4 quantity squared equals 5. Okay, here's another one. This problem, it gives me the center, and it gives me a point on the circle. So I have my HK, but I don't have what? My radius. What am I going to have to do to find my radius? I'm going to have to use the distance formula with the center and a point on the circle. Okay? So to come over here and find my radius, I'm going to have to use the distance formula. So it would be 3 minus 4 quantity squared plus negative 2 minus 5 quantity squared. Oh, right. Minus a negative, so that's good. Alright, so 3 minus 4 is negative 1 squared plus negative 2 plus 5 is 3 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1 plus 3 squared is 9. And end up with radical 10 for my radius. So my radius is radical 10, and I've got my h and my k, so now I want to plug it into my equation. Okay, remember this is your equation up here. Okay. Alright, so what would that look like? X minus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 2 squared equals, when you square the radical 10, okay, now, this next one, it gives me the endpoints of the diameter. Okay, now let's think about what a diameter does. Okay, a diameter has a point on the circle, it goes through the center, and then it has the other point on the circle, correct? So what do you think we're going to have to find here? Yes? Okay, and you could get the radius. Okay, that's one thing that we could do, yes. We need to do the midpoint formula, okay? Now, in my first class, I found the diameter first and then I divided by 2. But what if I found the midpoint first and then I used the midpoint and then one of the other points, and that would go ahead and give me the radius, then I wouldn't have to divide by 2. You really could do it either way, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's find midpoint first. Okay, so I got negative 2 plus 6 divided by 2, and 5 plus 3 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And 5 plus 3 is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. Okay? So 2, 4 is my center. Okay? Now, I want to use this point, and I can use either of these other 2 points. Let's go ahead and use that one. And I can find the distance between those, and that would represent my radius. Okay? So, we do 6 minus 2 quantity squared plus 3 minus 4 quantity squared. That's going to be 4 squared plus negative 1 squared, which is 16 plus 1, which is radical 17. Okay, so here's my formula again. X minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. All right, so what's that going to look like? X minus 2, it takes on the opposite sign. So x minus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 4 quantity squared equals radical root 17. When you square radical 17, it's 17. All right, any questions on what we did there? Okay. Now let's look at it from a little bit different vantage point. Okay, we're gonna take the picture of it, and we're gonna come up with the center and the radius. Now, this is the center lies in the second quadrant, tangent to y equals 6, x equals 2, and y equals negative 2. Okay, first of all, which one's the second quadrant? Top right, top left. This is first, this is second, this is third, and that is fourth. Okay, so it's over here. Okay, now it says that my circle is tangent to these different lines. Remember, when you've got a circle tangent to a line, the line just skins along the outside and touches at one point. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these 3 lines, and I'm going to figure out where my circle goes. Okay, all right. So y equals 6. What does that line look like? Is it horizontal or is it vertical? It's horizontal. It goes through 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got this horizontal line through y up through 6. Okay, that's y equals 6. Then it says x equals 2. What kind of line is that? Vertical. And it goes through 2, right? So there is x equals 2. All right, and then y equals negative 2. What kind of line is that? Horizontal. Negative 2. Okay, now my circle is going to have the center in the second quadrant, and it's going to be tangent to all 3 of those lines. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to figure out what my radius is. Okay, I need to look at the distance between these 2 parallel lines, right? What's the distance between these 2 parallel lines? That's the diameter, right? So what does that mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So my diameter is 8, which means my radius is going to be 4. Okay? So I need to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that gives me 4 as a radius here, 4 as a radius here, and 4 as a radius there. Yes? Okay? All right. So since it's tangent, it's going to, look something like this. Something like that. Okay? That's terrible. I'm a terrible artist. All right. So I want the equation for this line. So my center is at, what's my center at? Negative 2, here's the origin, 1, 2, and then up 2, okay? So it's at negative 2, positive 2, and what's my radius? 4. All right, so I plug it into my formula, x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared, okay? So what's the first one going to look like? takes on the opposite sign, so x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 2 quantity squared equals 16. Good. How did I get the negative 2, 2? I drew these 3 lines, right? Okay? And I figured that my diameter had to be 8. Okay? And so that means my radius is 4. So I went from this point here and I went over 4 and down 4. Down 4, which gave me my center. Okay? And this point has to be equidistant from all 3 of those lines. Okay? And so it's located at negative 2 from the origin. I went to the left 2 and up 2. So that's negative 2, 2. All right. Let's do another one. Use the information provided to write the equation of the circle. All right. So again, I want to know what the diameter is. Remember, your diameter is the longest chord in a circle. So it looks like this right here might be, those both might be diameters, right? Okay, and they're the same length. They're both 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're both 6, right? Which means my radius is what? 3. And so I need this point right here for my center. Okay, that point right there. So from the origin, I have to go 1, 2, 3 to the left and 1 down. So what would the center be? Negative 3, negative 1. Okay. And so then I can plug it into my equation because I've now got the center and I've got the radius. So what would that look like? X what? X plus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 1 quantity squared equals 9. Good. This is fun, isn't it? All right. Now, this one, I'm going to give you the equation, and you are going to tell me the center and the radius, and then graph it, okay? So, looking at this right here, what's my center going to be? It's going to be at the origin. And what's my radius going to be? Radius is going to be 5, because you've got to take the square root of that constant. So I'm at the origin, and then from there I got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in every direction. Okay? And so then I can attempt to draw my circle. Not a very good circle drawer. What about this guy? Where's its centers? It's in standard form, huh? 3, negative 4. Remember, it takes on the opposite sign, okay, for the center. So 3, negative 4 is my center. And what is the radius? All right, so then we graph it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my center. And then from that point, I've got to go 4 in every vertical and horizontal direction. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, and that was pretty good, huh? That's way better than that one.